Hi YouTube, Darth here. I'm in the second day of early access for the Star Wars Battlefront Beta, and while I'm having a blast in Drop Zone, that experience isn't really carrying into Walker Assault. Now, I'm by no means a master of that game mode, and perhaps the more I play of it, the more I'll get to like it, but at the onset I have to say that this has got to be one of the least fun initial experiences of the beta. There's a couple of things that I think make this not quite the game mode that it could be, because I definitely see a lot of potential for fun here. But let's talk about the most obvious starting thing players will see, the crushing Imperial advantage over the Rebel scum. Make no mistake, the Rebels really have their work cut out for them. Even an extremely competent team of Rebels is going to get pushed back at least to the halfway marker. But we're talking about a game that's going to be full of new players for the beta's duration. So it's already bad news for the Rebels, plus nobody knows what they need to be doing. Then there's an almost limitless amount of Imperial vehicles and armor constantly streaming into the map, with the addition of the AT-ATs, which completely obliterate everything they can see, which are also supported by the regular Imperial soldiers the Rebels have to deal with on top of that. Since we're all new to this game, it's no surprise that the Rebels get routinely stomped. That alone doesn't mean that it's imbalanced, and we probably shouldn't balance around new player experiences, but there are a lot of other things that are going on with this map. My experience on this game mode has generally been to get a handful of kills and then to get completely overrun by squads of infantry, or if I'm on Rebels, to find out all the ways that a player can be blasted in the beta. Occasionally I'll find myself on an Imperial team that completely outclasses the Rebels and runs them over with hardly a Y-wing summoned. Those are kind of my best experiences so far. If we distill the Walker Assault game mode to its most basic elements, the two teams are essentially fighting over two sets of points on three sequential areas on the map. At face value, that sounds a lot like Rush in Battlefield. This is really what you, as a player, need to be concentrating on in this game mode, and a lot of players will just rush forward past these points or ignore them completely because there is so much other stuff going on during these matches. The longer the Rebels hold these uplink points, the more Y-wings they summon, and the longer the AT-ATs are vulnerable. The problem on this map arises in that the Imperials have such a pressing advantage that the points, which except for one are wide out in the open, can readily be cleared by Imperial armor, and of which there is almost an unlimited amount. Imagine if in Battlefield's Rush mode only one team had armor and had a lot of it. I'm recalling Karg Island Rush in Battlefield 3, except the armor had a long distance to go where it was extremely vulnerable to infantry. No such luck here, and both teams eventually got armor on that map. Again, no such luck on Walker Assault, as the Rebels only get air power and turrets, the latter of which the Imperials can take over. The other thing that is problematic in Walker Assault is that, unlike Rush and Battlefield, there are no boundaries to player movement. The Imperials can travel as far back in the map as they like, which can get them into the spawn points for the Rebels pretty easily. Not that the Rebel scum have fantastic spawn points to begin with, as I've spawned into Vader and AT-AT or any other kind of horribly short existence more times than I would want to count. The basic existence for the Rebels on this map reminds me of the tagline to a recent Tom Cruise film. And you might make a little progress each time, but without a coherent team, you pretty much fail every match. Even with a coherent team, like I said, you have the cards stacked against you. But I think there's a lot of potential in this game mode. I'm particularly curious to see how it plays out on a denser planet like Endor, which unfortunately doesn't feature in this beta. If I could make a list of changes to Walker Assault, they would be: first, give Walker Assault focus. I think this game mode exudes total chaos more than any other game mode I've ever played in any shooter, even TDM and Battlefield Hardline. To me, the game mode feels like it lacks any coherence because it gives the player the impression they should be everywhere and anywhere at once. There are no clearly defined borders, and the game doesn't restrict the players to the intended field of battle. I'll spawn in a field of enemies, or I'll suddenly be alone defending an uplink point when my team is a mile away. There's a waiting solution in Rush from Battlefield that fixes the border problem. Simply hold back the boundary of the playable area until the current objectives have been overcome. It seems like an obvious fix, or at way worst, make the playable area for the Empire a radius around the AT-AT walkers. Next, I'd like to make Walker Assault feel less random. Right now I might run into a hero pickup only to die a half second later because the enemy team is literally around the corner when I attempt to activate it. I might need a smart rocket only to find a squad shield generator. I feel like battle pickups is something that Battlefield 4 does exceptionally well. You know where to find them and you know what they're going to be. The luck of the draw is both positional and qualitative with the pickups in Battlefront. I think one or the other is enough. Instead, not knowing where to find help when you need it and not getting the help you need is all kinds of up and down. At the very least, a minimap marker would be exceptionally helpful. Now to be fair, this could be my inexperience talking with respect to pickup positions, as they do seem to be semi-fixed locations on drop zone. But on Walker Assault, with the total chaos of everything else going on, this just adds to the noise in a non-positive way with another luck of the draw. Finally, I'd reward players who actually play the objective. Currently, you are pretty well signing your inevitable death warrant if you stick close to the objective, especially as the rebels. 5 out of 6 upload points are relatively easy to pick off from any distance, and defending them for any length of time is pretty well unlikely. That's fair though, and it should be easy enough for either team to claim the point when supported in numbers. Except it's not these folks who end up on the top of the leaderboards. The top of the leaderboards are populated by people who are playing the vehicle fantasy portion of Walker Assault, something the game mode focuses on almost to the exclusion of everything else. I truly do not understand why so little emphasis is placed on scoring the most important thing to victory on this map. So in review, giving the game mode focus, making it less random, and emphasizing objective play are the 3 things I really think could make Walker Assault truly sing. Because it looks amazing, the vehicles are fun, the basic infantry play is there, it's just that the presentation in the beta is really aggravating. By the time the beta is over, I might honestly end up liking it for what it is anyway, a vehicle fantasy map. The more I play it, the more I feel like the honest point of this map is to get into a vehicle and wreck as hard as you possibly can. The only times I've seen the Rebel team win is when they have exceptional pilots, and pretty much any Imperial in an AT-AT is going to have an absurd kill to death ratio and score. I've had pretty handy games in the AT-ST, and I'm pretty sure that once I attach my Xbox 360 controller to my PC, I'll have a better time trying to fly. But judge for yourselves when you get into the game today. If you've already played it, let me know in the comments below how you feel about Walker Assault. I'd love to hear what constructive things you think could make this game mode better, because despite how frustrating I find it, I also find it very compelling. And I know there's a lot more things out there that people might change about Walker Assault. That's it for this video about Walker Assault. If you're new around here, please check out my channel before you go. As I mentioned yesterday, I'm planning on dropping daily Battlefront videos throughout the beta, and as time goes on, I'll oscillate between Battlefield and Battlefront on a regular basis. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, YouTube.